I was brought up on this recipe. My mum brought us up on her own, there's 3 of us, and we were always brought up on this hearty soup. I mean, ours was scouse, and it was supposed to have meat in it, but we always had blind scouse because there was just never any meat left over. But this twist of the soup is great, this broth. And the greatest thing about it is utilising the turkey that we've had from yesterday. Fabulous. We all have a carcass left over, and there's always bits of meat left over onto it. I've just picked at the carcass, so I've got some chopped meat, which I've got here, and I've got the carcass, and I'm only going to use half the meat because I'm going to keep the rest half for a curry, which is great. Now, what I'm going to do here is, if you're vegetarian, you can have a vegetarian option here and just don't put the meat in at all. Simple ingredients. I've got the onion. Now, is to say you can use any onions which are available. If you've got smaller ones, use a couple. If you've got a large one, that's great. And again, any of the peelings, just put straight into the compost bin. I've got some garlic and ginger, which is in which you have the recipe for. I've got some veg stock. I've got some pulses which are lying around. I haven't got any roast potatoes because I had 4 left over from yesterday, and this morning I got up and they just look so lovely. I just reheated them with a little bit of salt and pepper, and I ate them like they were. So I'm going to be using these ones. And again, peelings, don't peel it. You've got all the nutrients and all the flavours in the actual skin itself. First of all, what we're going to do, I've got a non-stick deep pan here. I'm just going to pop in a couple of tablespoons of the olive oil, straight in with the onions, okay, a little bit of the garlic. So at this point, I'm going to put in the carcass, and then I'm just going to bring that up with some hot water. I'm just going to add it in the pulses. Got some vegetable stock here. Just going to add in a couple of those crumbled, and then I'm just going to top up with some hot water just to bring it up to the top. I'm just going to chop up these potatoes. I've got 8 potatoes here which have been washed and scrubbed, and I'm just going to cut them, and these are going to go straight into the broth itself. This is great because this actually acts as a good thickening agent as well, because they'll start mushing down. But then where I've kept them robust, there's nothing great when you've got a big bowl of soup and you've got pieces of potato and chunks in it. It's just like having a meal in itself, which is fabulous. Right, okay, I'm just going to start doing the dumpling mix. Okay, all I've got here is some flour. You can use whatever flour you have left available. It could be plain, strong, or self-raising. I've just popped in some seasoning. I'm just going to add in a little dash of olive oil in there, and that just gives it a little bit of viscosity. And then I'm just going to add in some water. Okay, and then I'm just going to start bringing it together. And as you can see, it just slowly will start coming together. Okay. And because the olive oil within this is just easy, just to take a little bit of clump and roll it into your small little balls. You don't need to be pretty because they're going straight into that soup. Okay, I'm just going to pop these dumplings into the pan. And this has come together beautifully. Okay, now I'm going to do is take a ladle and a little bit of a bowl, and I'm just going to skim the top of the soup. Now I'm just getting rid of any excess fat. I'm going to just skim this, and you don't need to chuck it away. This is pure flavour, some lovely poultry stock. I'm just going to leave this to cool, pop it in an airtight container, and then I'm going to pop it in the freezer, so the next time I have a roast dinner, I can bring this out and I've got a great base for a gravy. While the broth is coming up to a gentle simmer, I've got all these leftover shavings and cuttings of my veg from yesterday. And all we're going to do is just going to chop these, some broccoli stalks here. I'm just going to chop that in half. I'm just going to put them into pieces as well, so these will go great into the broth. The carrots will go in as they are, and the broccoli florets I'm just going to keep in whole. Just going to slice this up, and then all these ingredients will just go into that broth as it is. Now, if you didn't want to put the dumplings in and you wanted to, say, fry them, using self-raising flour would fluff them up. But if you're using plain flour, you would need to put in a touch of baking powder just to bring them up and double in size. Now we put the veg in, I'm just going to finish it off by putting in, last thing, the turkey. Right, look at that beauty here. It's just phenomenal. This dish we've created here is leftovers from Christmas Day. It can be any day. This can even be your Sunday roast dinner that's left over and the Monday you've created the broth. I could get 2 days out of this, and if there's anything left over, put it in the freezer, and again you've got a hearty meal, and it's all utilising what ingredients we've got left over. And the greatest thing about this will go great with some crusty bread. Even if your bread's a couple of days old, why not just dip it in some cold water, pop it in the oven, just to put some life back into it. I'm going to enjoy this, and I hope you do too.